I'm coming in hot.
How hot are you coming
I'm
in?
coming in hot. Like from November, I've been waiting to say this, and I can now say it. I have finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's fucking amazing.
You've been on that since November?
I've been watching it with Punch Mom for a couple months now, and we've been watching it together, so it's not quite it's a little bit of a reduced pace, but nonetheless we finally got there, and I finally finished it. Funny enough that it's back in the news because I guess it's on American Netflix or something. I'm not too sure what happened.
Yeah, basically, it popped back up on Netflix, and so people are like, "Whoa, what's this?"
So that was weird already because I was concerned because back in around New Year's there was an announcement saying it's going to be leaving Canadian Netflix or something like that, and I'm not too sure what the deal was, but it didn't end up leaving. So either way, it was like perfect for us, and went through that shit. Fucking incredible children's show. Super
So
well done.
I thought you had already seen it, like ages ago. Did we see The Last Airbender together,
No,
or was that
no,
a fever
no.
dream?
That was a fever dream. I saw
Okay.
nothing of it. My only experience prior to this was I saw the first 2 episodes or so, and I thought it was all right, and then I just didn't finish it. Like years and years and years and years ago, when it was getting pushed,
When it was the hotness.
when it was the hotness, and then yeah, basically for the last X amount of years, it's been something that's been a recommend for a while, and I yeah, decided to pop the lid on that a couple months ago, and fucking incredible, super solid. And one, obviously now I get it, but two, this is going to be another example, another thing I put up there where I say like, hey man, beginning, middle, end, nice tight story, 3 seasons, they fucking did it. I had a really,
Oh, it's great.
yeah, especially that last season. That third season
So
really steps up the quality of like writing, and like the I guess the decision to kind of like play these characters a little bit more in depth is incredibly noticeable in a reboot, in a reboot like way, and it's fantastic.
I don't think there's a single series I could think of in which you tell people there's no time skip, and then you show them like a photo of what the characters look like in your third series, and they go, bullshit, there's no time skip.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the promo art for season 3 has them in like the Fire Nation gear, and Katara's hair is different, and Sokka's got like a bunch of gear
He's
on.
got the wolf
and you're
helmet
like,
on.
what the
Yeah.
actual fuck?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like all of that is like obviously, main character plus time is like I've talked about that as like a thing I really like. So seeing Aang running around with hair and all that shit is really interesting. But fuck all that noise. And hey, late to the party, I know. So by all means, let me enjoy as I talk about the best character to me being, or the best relationship. I'm not, fuck the characters, because you can get into that. That's petty. That's nonsense. The best relationship in this show being between fucking Iro and Zuko, and like,
Oh, it's the best.
that entire dynamic being the most interesting thing to follow across the entire story, and like his hair represents like his mentality almost as you fucking go through it. Iroh, is it Iroh? It's Iroh.
His hair is a form of literal personal growth.
So Iroh and Zuko throughout this whole thing are like, every time the camera cuts back to the main kids, you're like, that's cool, but what the fuck are the others up to? Please, I want to go back to that tea shop. I want to go hang out.
The fact that they blow a whole season, almost like 12, 13 episodes on your main antagonist quit and he's just running a store.
It's so solid, man. And you know, and you want to just go through every like conversation that we have about, like, you know, every nauseating time that someone is like, oh, these fucking conversations about redemption and the idea of just being, you know, like, no one can ever be forgiven for their transgressions and all that shit. And, you know,
Like, that's how you do it.
here's a fantastic like showing of, like,
You do it real slow.
real slow, real painful crawl, you know.
And you have mistakes get made in that redemptive process.
Oh,
There's like a
yeah.
start and a stop.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fucking great.
like, that's the thing. So obviously, just as I'm coming out hot out of the gates, I'm gonna, you know, be spoiling anything just in case anybody has been like me and has not watched it and is through this conversation perhaps deciding to. I'm gonna start spoiling things to talk about it. So just putting that out there.
You also, it's important for your redemptive character that there is not a single moment that Zuko holds up a flamethrower to a child. Like, there's, there's no like
Fuck you, Minato!
redemptive moment.
I'll kill your babies. I'll kill your babies, Minato. Rin is up in the in between heaven place, just like, oh fucking Christ, what am I'm waiting for this idiot. Yeah, no, like, I really, like, there's a lot of fun things to say, you know. Obviously there's just, like, you know, it's a fun kids show. It's very bright, it's very colorful, and it's very hokey.
It turns from a kids show into a teen show.
Yes, exactly. And it ages up as, like, I guess the audience ages up in a way. And by the time you get to the third season, they're really, like, again, they're spending their time doing things that are a little more subtle than, like, the outright cut and dry moments of the early seasons, you know. But there's obviously lots of fun anime references in there, like what the fuck is that kid's name? Rocky, I think it is, like, with the samurai strand in his mouth. And
You mean Jet?
Excuse me, Jet, and Jet and the crew.
Jet
And the
Jet's
crew
great.
are a fantastic, like, you know, send up in a lot of ways. And there's some really just great moments where, in particular, like, but even before the third season, when they get to Ba Sing Se, I had, like, there's like three really awesome things there. I mean, one, when you get to follow Zuko on a date trying to be normal, and you're like, why would he be capable of being normal? He is a fucked up child.
That episode is so perfect because it is plot insensitive. It doesn't matter, but it's not character insensitive. And you get to see particularly your redemptive character and your actual villain. And, like, okay, let's assume there's no war, there's no Avatar, there's no problem. Would these people be able to function? No. Hell no. Oh my God.
Super dysfunctional kid. And then you get your after that you get the I think it's called the just Tales of Ba Sing Se or something like that. Yeah, Tales of Ba Sing Se, where they just follow each short story for the different characters of what they're up to. And you're like, oh, this is a fantastic little thing where you're like, hey, what are they up to in this month or whatever that we've got to fucking kill? And then you just follow Iroh around and you're like, oh my God, this dude rules. This is a fucking amazing character. What a good episode, you know? And then you get out of that and you're like, this show is something. There's something incredible going on here, right? And it does the thing that I'm a huge fan of, and I've talked about it, where, like, you allow someone who is going through that dysfunction we just referred to, and you let it carry out. So they go underground. The heroes are trying to find Appa, and they're on the way. They find out about the secret underwater base. You know,
All sorts of shit.
all sorts of shit. But then Zuko is
No
like,
ghosts, but pretty close.
yeah. And then Zuko's like, I'm turning down this normal life, this peaceful existence, to go fucking follow my demons, right? And he does. And then, like, as he gets to the end goal, the end point, Uncle's like, okay, dude, so you're here now. Now what? What
The fuck you gonna do?
What the fuck are you gonna do now? And it's such a solid, like,
What, you gonna steal this buffalo?
Like,
Why?
it's
What are you
so
gonna do with
fucking
it?
great.
Where are you gonna put it?
What is your plan? What is your plan? It's such a great, like, but I have to follow through on your what, you know? I fucking love those moments because it's just like reality fucking cold bucket over the head of like, what now, idiot? What now? Think it through. And it's something that like you kind of go, oh fuck, okay. Like, yeah, this dude has to face reality, and he does. And he does. And then you're like, okay, we're going somewhere, right? And he kind of becomes this weird version of himself that is like, I'm so happy to be working in this tea house, and I'm really happy to be living with you, Uncle, and, you know, like, yeah, we're gonna do it, you know? And he's being super weird for like a couple of episodes.
He literally smiles for like the first time ever.
Yeah, and you're like, this is uncomfortable. This is not normal. This is fucking weird, right? And I'm like, okay, but I'm like, maybe they're just doing this, but like, you know, they don't know what to do. But I'm like, no, they know that you don't, you know, whatever. They know what they're doing here. And then you get to the fucking finale of it where, you know, him and Katara have a moment inside the fucking crystal cave, and she actually is sympathetic to him, and you're like, oh, okay, this is how we set up the fire teacher. All right. And then again gets offered the ability to like reclaim that nothing that is his honor and whatnot, and then chokes and trips again after going through the what you thought was the arc. That was like, this show's fucking incredible. The fact that he fucked up,
and then you get a really
again.
good. So one of the more infuriating things is that you get to this part in a lot of shows, a lot of stories, where the villain wants to turn over a new leaf,
Yeah.
or a former villain wants to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah.
And the hero team goes, dude, go fuck yourself. We don't trust you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that always falls flat if
You're talking about the first time?
the villain has not done something like horrible,
Mm-hmm.
right? And evil. So that's a problem here. So what they do is they have that go through and fail once already. So of course, yeah, fuck you. We don't trust you.
No one has a reason to listen to Hi, I'm Zuko. Right? So that failure, dude, it's so fucking great too, because like, again, you're talking about the crawl back to redemption, you know, and you were already like, you're rooting for this kid. You're trying to see him, you know, get what he can to fucking help his damaged life, and then it fails, and then you kind of go into like, well, shit, dude, that's disappointing, right? But like, where do you go from here? And then you start that third season where they start paying that extra attention to detail, and you're like, why did this fail? And like, the reason why it failed is because the idealized situation, that ideal dream he was chasing, you can't just talk someone out of that. I mean, you can, but they're never really going to stop thinking about it, right? You have to sit there at the fucking, like, at the side of the Emperor, at the Fire Lord's side. You have to go through the hollowness of winning what you wanted and feeling it be nothing to then go,
this sucks.
oh, this actually sucks, right? So
My
like,
scar didn't heal.
Yeah.
What?
no, the hollow dream being like accomplished is really was what it's gonna sink in, you know? And like, during that entire time, the fucking smug aura of "I told you so" coming from the prison where Iroh's just locked up, just sitting there like, I got nothing to say to you. I got nothing to say to you. I got nothing. You know already. I've taught you everything. We've been through this.
You know exactly what I would say.
The lessons have been learned.
We
did this last season. I have nothing to say to you. And I'm like, it's so solid. And in the meantime, I'm gonna buff up and I'm gonna break the fuck out of here when the time comes, but so be it, you know? What a fucking arc, you know? So that it finally comes back around, and like you said, like there is no reason to give someone that the time of day. And especially when other people are on the crew start going like, okay, well maybe you're all right, but obviously Katara is not, because she was the one that fell for it the first time, right? She saw it firsthand and she was convinced by it. And it's a really interesting thing where there are people who you cannot trust because I am evil, mwahaha, and I'm going to pretend to be good to manipulate the situation, right?
We literally have that character one frame over from Zuko.
Yes.
It's raw evil.
Yes. But then, right, what you have is not just I can't trust you because you're on the bad guys and you're bad, but I can't trust you because you can't trust yourself. Like,
yeah, you're a flip-flopper.
When you say, hey, I've learned from my ways and I want to do the right thing now, I believe you that you believe yourself, but you don't know how you might react in the moment when suddenly your impulses are presented with something new. You know?
Yeah, you'll fuck up.
So it is a really interesting thing. I'm like, you don't see that too often. You don't too often see the kind of person where it's like, you know, you genuinely are full of conviction for this moment, but you will genuinely lose that conviction when you flip-flop over the other way. So, yeah, like that is a hard-earned but very, very thorough depiction of a character redeeming themselves. And it is the most anti-Sasuke bullshit I have ever seen. And holy
the timing on this is pretty ideal.
I was watching both of these.
He is actually Sasuke done well.
I was watching his story at the same time that I was going through the end of Naruto. Like, that's the thing. I was following along that final arc of Naruto, but I wasn't, and I didn't want to talk about Avatar until I was done. You know, because everyone understands, you guys, you can't control yourself. So didn't want to hit anything I didn't want to hit. But now that I'm done, I can say I was watching both of these at the exact same time, dude. And it's so incredible how much, like, one dumps all over the other for ostensibly what is, like, not even a farther distance for Sasuke, because Sasuke starts as a good guy, then goes bad, and then has to be prodigal soned back to the flock, whereas Zuko is evil from the jump, you know? So
I just took a look, and sure enough, Last Airbender was smack dab in the middle, the early middle even, of Naruto's run. So like Sasuke and Zuko's arcs are concurrent.
For American broadcast,
they didn't even have to learn from Sasuke's mistakes. They just like knew right away, like, oh, don't do that.
You mean for American broadcast?
No, I'm looking at the manga run of Naruto, 1999 to 2014, and Avatar came out in 2005.
Okay, so there was
They're absolutely concurrent.
It's the fucking realist.
So around the time the Itachi was holding Sasuke up by his neck, Zuko was being done with his arc.
You know, so you got that, right? You have, of course, it's not just that, but it's also, we also have to attribute some of the quality here to brevity, right? Some of the quality here to the fact that this is 3 seasons of 20 to 21 episodes, and like that is the story, you know? The first one, the first season sets it up. You've got the kids and you've got Zuko and Iroh chasing them. Then Azula comes in with the girls, and then the world gets expanded and we learn about the Earth Kingdom, and then Toph shows up, obviously. And then you get the fucking Fire Nation for the last chapter, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's your story, you know? It doesn't have to have these like false moments, or like there's a fucking Google result showing you that like Naruto is like a 41% filler, you know.
Even the manga.
So you don't have to have these moments of like extension into nothing, right? And when you follow a Zuko scene, it's probably because it needs to be there. There's something to gain from this, you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and then and that's all. This is just that's just him and how fucking solid that is as a character. Obviously Toph is fucking badass. Obviously there's like,
hold on, before we move off of Zuko, I just want to say one thing, that the easiest way to sum that up is that it is a long way, and it is a hard fought narrative battle from I'm gonna get the Avatar, fuck you, I'll kill you, to that's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Sokka.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Sorry your girlfriend turned into a moon, bro.
Oh, that's rough, bro. Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah, that's what happened.
Sorry your girl ditched you to become a celestial body.
Oh, that's goofy.
She ran away to the fucking Milky Way, bro.
But off to Toph, and her first appearance is beating up Dwayne Johnson.
And then you're like, okay, so what's your deal? And it's like, oh, like you're the personality that was missing from the group here, and
the piece of shit,
the selfish one, who's the selfish one, but is obviously like like self-supported, and they within like 2 episodes of her joining the group or so, it's like almost super quickly they have the whole like, hey, can't you help us bundle like some firewood? Can't you help us do some shit? And she's like, no, I won't take your stuff. I won't get in the way. I'll do my own thing and I'll be fine. You do your thing and you'll be fine. And
Toph is my favorite example of something that I feel like you rarely see, which is you put a handicapped character in your show, right? Now, the show is not only like laughably unafraid to point out that the character is handicapped, but you have that person be like a constant asshole about it to other people.
Yeah.
And people will get so pissed off that they'll fire back with shit making fun of the fact that the bitch is blind.
Yeah. Like everyone, like the show will have these like Land Before Time moments of, wow, look at that, and she'll just look at them and be like, come on.
But the ultimate is they're flying through the desert looking for some bullshit.
Yeah.
And she'll yell out, hey, look, it's over there. And they'll go, really? And she'll like turn and have the biggest grin and just wave her hand in front of her fucking eyes. Like, no, dumb shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm blind, idiot.
Exactly.
What are you, stupid?
Yeah, it's fine. It's great. It's great. She's played wonderfully. And then and then all you got to do there is go like, oh, she's a badass. How badass is she? Well, she invented metal bending. Okay,
she's the greatest there ever was.
She's the fucking best. Oh, okay, cool.
In many ways, way more impressive than your main character.
Yeah, she's coating herself in metal armor. She's rolling into walls and peeling it off to create armor. Cool, got it, understood. So yeah, that goes without saying. And then there's definitely definitely a couple moments of like, well, I'm sure we could have taken a little bit more time to show Sokka becoming a sword master instead of over the course of 1 episode, 1 week. Like
it's what happens when your comic relief character gets to the 3rd season and somebody goes, oh, Jesus. He's got to be able to actually do something.
He becomes a master swordsman in 1 hangout with a cool dude, but and an amazing sword is given to him. But all things considered, Aang is, you're watching him follow through as well and go through the journey, and he gets his, oh, he's gonna master the Avatar state. Nah, you fucked up, kid. I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool, that's cool. You know, they never stop being like fucking kids. And the stakes obviously get higher, and then you get these little moments of you know, like, who is this combustion man that shows up, and why is he like a villain from a different show? Like, why are you
why is a Teen Titans villain fighting the gang?
or like a gung ho gun? You know, like,
yeah,
you look like someone that should get murdered in Ninja Scroll. Why are you here blowing these children up?
He's even got like a different style of shading on his like muscles and like his neck.
You know, and yeah, and it's like, well, fuck, that's the stakes. That's the stakes we're at now, you know? So fucking fantastic, man. Fucking great. Really, really, you know, like I said, I can't say enough good things about like just the way that third season depicts the characters and what it shows you about their personalities, and you know, helps the whole thing kind of come together. Azula as well is just like, you know, shitty evil villainous. She's doing the shitty evil thing, and you're kind of at some point you're kind of like, why are you so? And you're just like, well, some kids are just fucked, man. You know,
some kids are just fucked.
Some kids are just fucked, and like even the crew that's rolling with her, it's like you kind of for a second are like, oh yeah, they're the rolling evil. They're the anti-hero group doing their own thing.
It's like, no, they're not. They're childhood friends with the one that's just fucked.
And she's forcing them to do all this bullshit from day one, and they didn't hide that from you. They came along out of being forced to come along. So then they're like, yeah, so when it eventually goes sour, it's like, of course it went sour. Duh. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. And then you get to see the
person who was fucked become really, really fucked.
Yes. So that was interesting too. I was wondering, I was like, how are you going to show, like, in the same place where you can show that somebody who goes through their flaws and is forced to confront all of this, it's interesting to go like, how do you represent the other side of things where you have like a character like Azula who's just like, I don't give a fuck, right? And it's like, no, she does give a fuck, but she has no foundation like Iroh to like ground her. So when she gets beaten, she's just flailing and breaking apart, and you're like,
breathing fire,
yeah, and wailing. You're like, yep, that's pretty much how that goes down, right? You know, and obviously you get your like your whatchamacallit, you get your Zuko, like, he's like, man, how am I even gonna face the uncle moment, and the big old cry hug, you know, and all that's like super well deserved. And what I thought was pretty interesting too was like the Fire Lord represents almost like he's also a cartoonish villain, like a cartoonist entity, I should say, where it's like you just sit there and be evil. But like, you know, they go into enough backstory about like the relationship between the previous Fire Lord and the previous Avatar and all that stuff, that you can kind of see how the gears for world conquering came into play. And by the time he gets all powered up and just becomes a like scorcher of nature, and it seems he
becomes a cannon.
It seems like my goal is to burn the deer and chipmunks, you know, as the Zeppelins fucking skate over ground. And you get that last fight. It was I thought it was pretty smart that they intercut Avatar versus him with the loud explosive like rock battle in the Dragon Ball Canyon that they're fighting in. And then when you cut over to the Agni Kai that like Zuko and Azula are having, it's also a big fiery battle, but to distinguish,
it's also very pretty and coordinated.
It's very pretty and coordinated. It's not as explosive, and the music takes over, and the sound effects drop out. So you're cutting between two fights that would be similar, but they're playing them as visually different as they can, and also bringing in the blue fire and all that stuff happens. You know, you get those things like the lightning and all these little bits and pieces that come back, and it's like, damn, okay, this is pretty good. Not gonna lie, the lion turtle came the fuck out of nowhere, but it is in flavoring with some of the, like, you know, mysticism of the show, in the form of
It sure is.
The dragons and the face stealer and all that other shit. But boy, it just shows up and is like, hey man,
you want to solve this problem? I got you.
McGuff. You know, like a level 3 MacGuffin Pokemon shows up and just touches you, and now you got it. Now you got the thing. You did it.
Last Airbender did something for me that kind of ruined many, many, many other shows. I hate clip shows. I hate the clip episode. They're always terrible. And up until Avatar: The Last Airbender, I had called clip and recap episodes the same thing because they are. Except for this one. I always remember the name of the episode. It's called Ember Island Prayers. And it's where the writers decide to catch you up and like poke fun at their own bullshit for a little while by putting on the shittiest play of the first 3 seasons ever.
Yes. I got huge.
Oh, it's players? Oh, wow. I have a great memory. Wow.
Yes. So that was funny because it becomes very clear, like, about a minute into that play that you're like, this play has details that nobody could possibly have. This is for the viewer. This is not for the characters.
So it really brings it up hard when you get to a point where characters are looking at each other that were involved in the real situation. Talking about the play, going, did they die?
What? It was very unclear.
And you're like, oh, the writers realized that no one can tell if that character died
and
not.
They just left it alone. Yeah. It also had big vibes of, and everything was alphanumeric.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like the straight up reboot musical we got at the end of that season was like, I'm like, oh man, I'm getting a flashback here, you know? Yeah. No, that was really fun too. I appreciated that when, you know, it came down to it, like the kind of like the final conflict that like Aang is going through is one that's very on point, because it's like, you were raised as a monk, so you got to do what monks do. But
and then everybody else on the planet is like, quit being a pussy,
murder
and
the
stab
fuck
that dude.
out of the villain, please. Save the lives of everybody and murder this fool without hesitation. Like everyone, the whole party's like, bro, I understand you got to do you, but please kill this man. And then he's like, I don't want to, right?
Because they're not wrong.
They're not wrong at all. They're not wrong at all.
He's always going to be a problem. You just have to cut him.
And then he's like, you know, and he sweats it. And then he goes and he winds up on fucking Turtle Island, and like in there he's like, okay, no, wait, hold on, there's got to be another way. And you turn back to all the previous avatars who are like, bro, you gotta kill him. you gotta fucking do it, bro.
The wisdom of the infinite.
Yeah.
Including the direct predecessor is a guy who knew him as a kid.
Huge. Like also, I like.
Wait, that's not right.
No. But I like the fact. I like the fact that. I like the fact that they like, hey, we got Jen Hale back for one episode because she's got to give Aang some advice. What else can we do with that? Oh, remember that girl that rides the mole? Yeah. Okay, now you get to be both characters. So she plays 2 characters in the show, and they just go like, well, fuck, we got Jen Hale. We're not going to not use Jen Hale's characters. And they use them both. But yeah, they both come out, you know, rather like all the fucking previous masters come out. And then they're like, by the way, we didn't show you before, but let's show you what the rest of the cycle looked like. So it's like, oh, here's the previous waterbender, you know, from the Water Tribe, and here that was the Avatar. Cool. And here's and you're like, oh, okay, here's the full cycle of avatars. What do you guys got to say? Kill this motherfucker. Shoot him dead.
You get like, I think the water guy is like surfing and super chill.
Yeah.
And he's like, kill.
It's like, hey man, you got to do what you got to do. But literally, the Earth one is like, he's like, wait, but hold on, but the guy that was the leader of the evil forces that were fighting you fell off the cliff, right? Like, you didn't kill him. He did refuse to move out of the way. And she's like, yeah, same thing. Right? Whether or not I killed him or whether or not his stubbornness led to his demise when he stupidly stood on that cliffside doesn't change the fact that he went. I did it. It was my thing.
And the people are pointing out that like you have Aang's direct predecessor being an air avatar brought up under the same no kill philosophy.
Fire.
Going, sometimes you got to break the rules. Sometimes you got to kill guys.
Fire.
You know, it's the unfortunate reality of the world.
No, it was really like straight up just like this is the infinite wisdom right now. And and at the same time it's like that's the same infinite wisdom that was hanging out with the in the space abyss of like the giant floating avatar Aang that's hanging out there, and it looks like sinister as fuck. And it's like that's the power you're gonna need to fucking kill this guy. You're gonna need that. So it's right there. You're one step away. But yeah, and it's funny too, because like in the same way that like Sokka learns fucking sword mastery in like one episode, Aang sits and goes through all the chakras in one episode, and I'm like, boy, this would have been
all of them, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, listen, I don't want this to be milked into a filler season. That's stupid, but one episode, not even a two-parter. And then it's kind of almost like face your fears, face what you hate, confront the emotions, and it's like
deal with it, move on.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, if you want to find reasons to believe it, then you can say that like, as a monk he was pretty well trained to confront the spiritual realm. Just not the the actual interpersonal conflicts that he has with his friendships.
Hey man, I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why Aang or Ong, whichever, I've always fucking fuck it up, was able to deal with that stuff so quickly in the course of one episode instead of learning all the bendings taking 3 seasons is because he was brought up to know about the spiritual and interpersonal realm. That is dead on.
That's what I said. Yeah.
That is 100%.
Yeah.
And that becomes very confirmed.
Yeah.
If you decide to move onwards.
Exactly. So the reason why I bring this up is because I was met with the contrast, because I started Korra.
You started Korra, who is the complete opposite character.
Yes, so I needed to at least start Korra so that I could touch base. Even though I played, I was there for the LP way back when.
But that's like
I had nothing to connect. I had nothing to connect it to, right? So I started Korra so that I could connect the pieces. So that I connect the pieces of like where the future goes and like what comes from the future timeline, because I'm like being lost in like a void of like, and then there's a future but I don't know any part of it is like I'm like, let me at least get into that. Let me start it out so that I can go, all right, this event, this place exists, these people exist, and this is the premise,
where it goes is Ong has a kid who turns into J.K. Simmons, and that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So also, I was told about there's a comic that apparently connects the two. There's a bridge that can be read, so that sounds interesting. Okay, so here's the part where fucking Avatar is incredible. Loved it. Great. Gonna be, like I said, in the same way that I talk about the brevity of and the sweetness of Gravity Falls and like picking your ending, I'm gonna talk about this too. So now, started Korra. I'm about 4 episodes in exactly, and this is one of those ones where I'm like, okay, I was wondering if I should wait till I was done with that too. And I kind of was like, it's been so long. I've waited so many months to even talk about this. Let me just bring it up
And
now.
Korra's popping up now because people it's coming back and
Yes.
people are arguing
Yes.
again. So
Yes.
the
Yes.
time is hot.
I know, exactly. It is hot. And so I brought this up at a specific time, And I'm not sure. Maybe it would have been better to wait until I was done with both so that I could just introduce it clean, unaffected, in any way. But the level of negativity everyone is displaying over that show right now.
You don't even have to even talk about how you're watching it. You're getting it anyway.
I'm getting it anyway, right? People are, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. So far, I'm really interested in how they've set up this world. I like the fact that they've aged it up again. In a way, it feels as if they continued the trend of like watching the final episode, and then like an hour later, Korra back to back is such an interesting thing because it's especially fun because I showed Punch Mom the trailer because she didn't know Korra existed. So I played it and she's like, "Wait, is this some weird show that ripped off Avatar?" And then she's like, "Wait, no, did Avatar rip this show off? What are we looking at?" And then at the end it says Korra, and you see the statue, and it's like, oh fuck, oh okay, that's super cool. So it was really nice to have that that was a fun like jump in reveal that because she didn't even know it existed. So but jumping into it now, yeah, like I don't know, I'm nowhere near, I'm not at the point where everyone is at to see what all this negativity is, and I'm and I wish I could just cut it all out and just watch it and make my own opinions. But based on the first 4 episodes, they're doing a fucking great job of like setting up the future of this world, a nice timeline skip later where it's not just like these kids are adults, it's that they're actually like fucking old people now and they've aged out, right? And
yeah, you have a couple returning characters,
and
well, one returning and some almost returning, and they're like ancient.
And you can't have like a big old bitter Aang adult, so you got to have his kid who's a fucking joy kill. And you're getting
Tenzin's the best, dude.
Yeah.
Tenzin's the fucking best.
And so you're getting this really interesting like thing where like again like it's paying attention to the subtlety of I guess what I feel like came in season 3. The characters are clearly later teenagers. They're not fucking 11, 12 and 13. And it's taking place in a city, so like literally the colors are a bit darker. Things are aged up. The conflict is aged up. The complexities of what they're going through is aged up. So yeah, I mean, if this is the Boruto of the Avatar world, like I remember when it was going on, and I remember catching words and hearing things about it. But so far, I think it's fucking cool, man. So far, I'm really also impressed by how much the animation quality has jumped up. Like, it's super fun to watch that same intro take place with a much higher budget, series of katas taking place, and I'm just gonna go through it.
So I would like to talk about it to you a little bit in non-specific terms, to possibly explain some, because there is a wash of negativity around it.
It is, and I can't say anything,
Yeah. So flat out, just no matter how much you like Korra or whatever, it's just not as good as Airbender. Depending on your personal distaste with the issues that it does have, and I mean Airbender's not perfect either, but it's either just quite not as good or terrible, right? Depending on how much certain things bother you. Avatar: The Last Airbender was like always on the verge of being canceled, and then they finished on season 3, and then there was supposed to be a Last Airbender 2, and then there was supposed to be like a movie, and those didn't happen, but that's okay.
Interesting.
Because they finished it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Korra had an issue in which they were told by their studio, by their publisher, by the TV network, you're going to get 1 season. So do it in 1. So they did it in 1. And then it was popular. So they went, okay, you can have another, but you're definitely not going to have a third one. We're super canceling this after the second one. And then they're like, okay, fine, you can get a third one.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then they did the same thing with
4
the third
times.
one. And so every season has to build itself up like it is the last season.
Okay.
And plots can't last.
Yeah, okay.
So you have problems where characters start up plots and then they finish, and then the next season exists and that character has to have something to do.
Okay.
So that plot will either start back up and with a little bit of growth or whatever, or they'll be given a B plot.
Okay.
To hold them.
Yeah.
The characters get benched.
Yeah.
Like they actually get actually benched. And then they're like, fuck, we have another season and we benched them last season. Fuck. It's okay, now they're important again. But you're like, weren't they a dumbass last season? Yes. And there's no consistent through line. There's a lot of really great stuff in Korra that is very, very, very obviously held back by the studio. And the final season, the 4th season, probably has the most problems, in which there is one big plot line that the execs are like, you're not allowed to do that. You can't do it. Fuck you. And then they're like, you can allude to it in the final episode and leave it vague.
Okay, then I know what you're talking about, because it's the biggest exploding news story out of this show when it ended.
And then the final season, they're like, okay, you can only, okay, well, you know how we told you were gonna do like 14 episodes, and you wrote 14 episodes? You can only get like 12 now. And we're only giving you the money for 11.
Okay, so what you're saying is that it ends up being marred by production issues.
Constant. It's very clear.
Okay. And the original did not have these, but it was on the verge of being canceled, and then managed to come back each time.
So the biggest problem they have is like, hey, Avatar: The Last Airbender, we were just talking about how great Zuko was.
Yeah.
Zuko is the primary villain for like 80% of that show. And then you get the Fire Lord as the bigger version in Azula, right?
I'd give him less than 80%, because really Azula comes in season 2 and ends up being a persistent.
All right, let's say
Zuko's
dudes.
redemption starts pretty early on, all things considered.
The Fire Gang, right, are your problem. Because they thought every season was going to be the last season. Every season has a new villain cycle in.
Right. Okay.
And the first one is the best one, by far.
Okay, I don't.
And you keep going like, why couldn't you just have that go forward?
Okay, I don't want to get too much of a breakdown of structure here. Just
okay, but you understand what I'm talking about.
I get it. Yeah. I also like, I I brought it up at this point in time as opposed to at the end of that, specifically knowing that, like, this was gonna sort of be a part of it. So all I will say is, like, I'm just gonna go through it. Let me get through it. I like, obviously, the best way I experienced Avatar the best way I could have, which is with everyone fucking gone. Enjoying it on my own, with Punch Mom, and just no opinions whatsoever. And in this case, I would like that to be the same. So, I'm probably not going to talk at all about Korra until I'm finished it. You don't need to check in and see where I'm at. You don't need to, like, just, I'm gonna get there, and when I'm there, I'll talk about it. But I like doing it on my own pace in a vacuum, and not having to, because already, like, it's basically you're trying to not flavor yourself too much by anything, And I like judging things on my own. So like this is one of those bits where like in my head right now, the first 4 episodes were fucking fantastic, and all I'm hearing is about what to expect with this. So I'm low. You can't help but lower expectations in a way, you know. But like so far, like what they've set up with this new world is like all the fun things about a time skip are here, you know, and
there's a lot of fun little time skip stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I really enjoy that, and you know what? Everyone enjoys that. I ended up.
You're 4 episodes in, so you would have seen that, like, oh yeah, metal bending.
Metal bending is
now
the police are now using 3D maneuver gear to fucking
Spider-Man
around the city and deal with criminals 100%, you know.
That's great. That's cool.
Toph established some fucking crazy ass awesome fucking thing that people can do now. Cool ass statue of Aang and you know and like the establishment of like, hey, and this I remember a little bit from the game, but like all that fucking Fist of the North Star pressure point shit that the circus girl was doing. Yeah, we learned that. We learned how to do that. That's really important in a world where some people got it and some people don't. It's really important to learn how to okay, put that shit away now.
It also takes place in a period of an industrial revolution in which a gun exists.
The Industrial Revolution is very clearly in play. The first cars are starting to exist. You know, they're doing an old-timey flashback, an old-timey recap at the beginning of every episode. You know, and you're getting right into like an aged up thing where you're like, okay, yeah, where we went from, you know, ancient world, ancient civilizations kind of setting into this more modern one. So and it makes sense because you're like, the time frame is like, again, it's the kids, then they grow old, and then another generation grows old, and then we're here. You know, and if you really think about it, it's like, yeah, like think about where we were at 2-3 people ago. We were pre-industrial revolution, you know. So I like that decision to
yeah. I mean, you're dealing with
super
like,
time skip.
The kids that are twinkles in their parents' eyes because their parents are teenagers in the original are now in their 60s and are fully boomered out.
Yeah, I remember having a moment of like, I wonder if the Air Tribe is. It's like, oh wait, no. There's like, how would they?
There's 5.
Give it a minute. They gotta figure that out, you know. Yeah. So, and then you know you get a little other fun things like the concept of pro bending is fun. You know, it's like you got yourself a little sport there, and I remember playing that in the game too. Yeah. All in all, like, so I had a big discussion about like storytelling and like writing and how these things work in different shows after we finished, and we ended up talking about how I'll probably go into this in super depth at some point, but like something that happens in stories is you stay interested in this is, and like I'm pulling these terms out of my ass, by the way, but it's like I call them like
yes good
you when you get introduced to a story, you're what happens to the main characters in the present as time moves forward is often fun, and that's the adventure, but it's not as interesting as the hooks that are the past that they bring into the story with them. So of course we want to know about how Harry is going to fight and defeat Voldemort, but more importantly, who the fuck are his parents and what was that about? What happened to them? That's an early hook.
Nothing. They were just losers.
Well, whatever. That's an early hook, right?
Snape really wanted to bang his mom.
And
like really bad,
you know,
like hard.
And when your show ends up running out of these things, you often have less points of interest that keep someone wanting to come back. And what'll happen sometimes is like I dropped off of Steven Universe kind of early, but from Punch Bomb like kept going and finished it off. And from what it sounded like, they kind of solve a lot of those hooks early on, so you're only left with the new hooks that come up for new season characters and new mysteries, but the baseline ones get solved. So then all you're kind of left doing is following the present conflict to the end, which oftentimes is not enough to really grab people and hold them on for that mystery.
I fell off Steven Universe the beginning of season 2. Where'd you fall off?
Middle of season 2, right?
Okay, because when
Yeah.
they're just literally like zany adventure of the week with Peridot, like 6 episodes in a row. I'm like, all right, I'm out.
So there's two things.
I just want to say
Yeah.
I went up and fucking took a look at what goes down in that show. And dude, that show has the worst ending. Oh my god.
I didn't look it up because I might go back to it at some point.
Oh, it's the worst.
Okay.
It is a really clear decision of like my personal themes that I want the show to talk about are more important than how any of these characters would ever act.
Okay. So,
Oh, it's bad.
might go look one day, just to know. But so all this to get to like some other things, where I was just gonna say that like these hooks are important, and when you spend them, when they're covered over and they don't exist anymore, sometimes stories will do things to if someone's like good at writing, they'll find ways to kind of go, actually, they'll do something like, for example, this hook you thought was solved turns out it was wrong information and it's something else completely, and you're like, oh shit, right? Or if you have no other way out, if you've written yourself into a corner, you'll go, time skip, new hooks, what happened in the gap? Well, we'll have to find out, right? You create new hooks because you don't have any mystery anymore to like what you're trying to figure out with these characters. In fact, the less I say, the better here. But I'm willing to say, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I feel like the maximum amount of time you can take teasing someone along with a hook before they just get frustrated and tap the fuck out is the basement. And the reason why that is the maximum is because the payoff is so good that it ends up being fucking worth it for the cock tease the whole way through. You know? But
there's a really famous one that's in movie form, but it's not like it's not in a long-running serial. It's in a film, and it's like, dude, I don't give a shit that it was the name of his sled, dude.
Right.
Like, that is
okay.
a terrible payoff.
Yeah. So all of these little hooks need to be paid attention to, and then a time skip will reset and create new things for you to ponder on and be curious to stick around to find out what happened, you know? And that's what I feel like we got here. We're going from we're going from battle tendency to Stardust Crusaders, you know? So anyway, I have some preliminary, like I said, just early ass Korra thoughts, but more importantly, the original show, Atla, ATLA, is fucking great, man. Fucking solid. And I truly have an affection for kids shows that age up and at the very least like get more sophisticated in how they handle the characters and the writing. I really like that. It's an unexpected pleasant surprise every time, and it also serves to like prove the point that just because something is for kids doesn't mean it has to be stupid. And anytime someone goes, dude, stop overthinking it, it's a kid's show, it's like, no, you don't have to say that. That's a silly thing to say. You can do...
Kids know quality on occasion.
You can do something that is aimed at a younger audience that is still like well done and tight and well thought about. You do not have to just do that hand wave thing. It bothers me so much when I see people say that, because it's like, you just have to go, yeah, things are things are shitty. That's it. That's the genre. If you aim it at kids, it has to be bad. It's got to be. It's like, no, it doesn't. And this is a wonderful, wonderful example of how that.
Remember
comes to
in
be.
Gargoyles when they accidentally shot a main character and it was a horrible big deal?
Gargoyles was fucking wilding out with their
Yeah.
with their with,
And it's both like a decent, good episode for all ages, and it's also like, hey kids, maybe don't play with guns, morons.
hey kids, have you are you familiar with A Midsummer Night's Dream? Are you familiar with Shakespeare?
Fuck no. I'm a kid. I'm a child.
Well,
why would
well, sit tight, you know? Yeah, man. I really do like that. I like that a lot. World building is always fun, so all the appeal of like seeing what it's like to be a kid in the Fire Nation country as opposed to being raised in creepy ass Bossing Say, which is different from being raised in the Earth Nation outside of Bossing Say, you know, and so on and so forth. It really does have that like that it has that whole like map and exploring the fog of war bit to it as well, that a flying bison can provide. So that's great. That's really satisfying.
Hey, before we get off of Airbender, I have what I would call homework for you, Wooly, because I'm desperate to talk to you about it. I need your eyeballs to hit the M. Shyamalan masterpiece that is The Last Airbender.
I suppose I might.
This needs to be discussed.
I suppose I might at some point.
It is the worst movie I have ever seen in a theater.
I mean, it's just a matter of my curiosity versus what other things can I do with 2 hours of my time?
2? It's super long, dude.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, let me check the runtime. Last Airbender movie runtime is... Oh, it is 2 hours. Okay, it just felt much longer.
Well, so this is how I, in a lot of cases, like this is how I kind of like look at my time in many ways, where it's just like, you know, get into this, check this out, replay that, do this and stuff, and I'm kind of just like, what do I want to do with my time right now? What do I want to do with my time right now? And for the answer over the last couple of months was watch more Avatar.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do with my time. And currently it's watch Korra. But maybe. We shall see. We shall see.
It's a good... If you have an interest in studios ruining things,
Hey man,
then you need to watch that shit, because it is the ultimate.
Dragon Ball Evolution needed to
It is
happen.
way worse than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Needed to happen. So that's when you know you're in with the big boys. When a giant
It
studio
is
movie
way
production
worse.
completely misunderstands everything about your story, you know you've arrived. You know you've arrived.
I think my favorite quote from M. Night Shyamalan is that in the movie, firebenders need flame to be around them. To firebend, they cannot manifest it. And when asked why he did that, he said, I didn't think it was fair that firebenders could just do firebending whenever. that unlike the other gangs, and you're like, that's the point.
Yeah. It's pretty
That's the literal point.
It's pretty impressive that the exact same fire that sparked bad box art Mega Man from the original design carried forward like an Olympic torch to create the likes of Dragon Ball Evolution and the Last Airbender movie. That same fire of complete misunderstanding of the product, right? Staring at the thing and thinking about what the typical market wants, that you think, you assume what the audience wants, and then looking at the existing thing that they already like and going, no, not what you already like, what I think everyone else wants. Carrying it forward all these years later. It's pretty impressive.
That spark will never die.
It's the bad box art Mega Man Olympic flame. You know? The complete misunderstanding of a product as you adapt it.
I know what the kids want, says Saban. in his sarcophagus.
It's pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive thing. Um, you know what this kitchen needs?
What's that?
More cooks.
It does. It many more.
The reason why the script
Many more.
we need to get more executive writer credits on this script. We need to get more punch ups. You gotta get your punch up in. If you don't punch up a script, then you don't get a credit for it. You don't get paid. Your worth on retainer is dropped. You're useless. You better, if you are in the building when a script comes sliding down the conveyor belt, you better grab it, punch it up real quick, and toss it over. I Love Lucy style.
I hate this.
Everybody's got to get the punch ups.
I hate it.
Well, anyway, I fucking love Avatar: The Last Airbender.